You have to be willing to get out of that victim mindset, because when I was in that victim mindset, I was still stuck. I had to face myself in the mirror one day, like, Michelle, everything that you hate about other people, you have within yourself. I have so many aspects, controlling narcissistic aspects, that I needed to face. So to be somebody that is authentic or go on this healing self-discovery journey, you have to be extremely honest with yourself, vulnerable.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Align Us Mastermind podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikhil Sharma, and I'm so grateful to have you all here with us today. Today, we're going to be talking about a great subject called authenticity, and we are joined by a really special guest, Michelle Lor, who is a transformational coach. And we're really excited to kind of get to know her journey. I think it's going to inspire and resonate with a lot of people that are listening today. Joining me as always, I have my co-host, Kevin Drummond. I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
My name is Kevin Drummond. I am a mindset and business development coach, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I'm excited for this conversation with Michelle.
Right on. I think we've been talking about this, conversation for last several weeks, I'd say. And what's beautiful about this setup is that, when I started Align Us, when you start on any kind of personal growth journey or any spiritual journey or any entrepreneurship, there's a lot of unknown that's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to run into. You don't know how it's going to accomplish itself. All you know is that you have a passion to want to create something. You have a passion to want to inspire other individuals. And so what I realize is that when you have that passion, it literally starts attracting the abundance and resources that you need to help make your dreams come to fruition, And it's just taking that leap of faith and then finding your soul tribe along the way. And that's what I feel like we've done with Michelle, because it's not a coincidence that we have, doing this podcast today or run into each other. It's the fact that we are aligned with similar missions, similar values, and that's what makes this journey really, really beautiful. And we're just really, really blessed to have Michelle with us today. And I think, you guys will have a great time just listening to what she's all about, what she's kind of gone through, and how she's used all those obstacles in her life to transform it and to create something really beautiful and inspiring for those that get in contact with her.
So my name is Michelle Lor, and I am a transformational coach. My journey started a year and a half ago. I was in a very abusive marriage. That was the start to my spiritual awakening. I was starting to self-reflect, wake up, that there was a lot of things from my childhood that were affecting me to this day. And in the midst of working through that marriage, trying to save it, I was also trying to help my family, my parents' marital problems at the same time. And what was really affecting me at the time was doing those simultaneously. I decided to ask for help and start therapy at the time, because I knew that I needed something. I knew that I wanted to change. Um, I carried a lot of the problems in that marriage as if that was all on my own. So I was like, let's save it. And when I started to go to therapy, I started to understand that my life was not normal. Like, these things that were happening were not normal. When I started to become aware of these things, somebody had to it was kind of like a slap in the face of a whole new reality. So at the time, my mom had attempted almost to end her life. And for me, I grew up with a lot of those types of circumstances with mom and dad. So it was a moment where I was just like, I need to vent. I need to let things out. And when I did, to my therapist, I felt better. At the time, I knew that I had to let many people go, but I didn't want to. I wanted to hold on to my mom and dad, to my husband at the time, because I wanted a family. I didn't want to feel alone. So I held on very tightly for as long as I could until I couldn't anymore. And the marriage got worse. We started couples therapy, but it didn't work because you can't make someone change. They have to be willing to change. I wanted to change, but I can't force somebody else to do so. I tried, but it didn't work. So it got to a point where in that marriage, I had felt very hurt, and I took it upon myself to like shame myself, blame myself, and many times I wanted to end my life as well. This this ongoing, I would say, habit, right, of taking it upon yourself to like feeling hopeless and like, okay, we're done here, was coming from generational trauma. Um, in that process of just deciding to end the marriage because my life was at risk. I was not very good at that moment with my mental state, depression, anxiety. My kids, I have two kids under the age of 5 at the time. And I started to become aware, like, how could I love my kids if I don't even love myself? Look at the way that I treat myself. Look at the way that I tolerate certain things. So I let everything go. Um, when I started to speak up, right, in my family, I come from a very tight-knit Hispanic culture that you're not allowed to have boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were at that time. Um, my dad was just not happy with that. So I didn't have a job. I lost my job. Um, so that time left parents, left, I didn't have a job, and then I ended a marriage. So I let everything go, like as if um, when the pain of your current reality becomes more than the pain of the unknown, you you realize that I'd rather have the pain of the unknown than my current reality. And then I went on this journey of solitude, of just taking on two little kids, a whole entire house full of bills, debt, not having much, struggling. But it was in those moments where I kind of just cried and just said, with this little bit of faith that I have, I didn't have much. Here you go, God. I leaned towards my faith at that time. A lot of things were happening that I couldn't explain, like smaller voices that would spark in the middle of the night that would kind of like give me an idea. And it would take me 5 seconds to react based on a podcast that I came across with Mel Robbins, that I was like, it sounds crazy to do this, but I didn't have outside noise anymore. It was just based on me. So through that whole journey, I was just alone. I let everything go. I had to work multiple jobs to just survive. But everything that I pretty much made choices on were based on that inner silent wisdom, I would call it. And it led me to where I am today. I went through many challenges, sold my home, moved across the state, things that I would have never thought of doing, starting my own business. And I knew my calling was to help other people and inspire other people. So with that comes being in the unknown and just trusting that everything is going to work out. And there's many moments where I wanted to give up, but something said, no, you got to keep going. The motivation of faith, something that I can't really, I didn't really understand at the time, and also my kids. But it led me to my passion, my purpose, and it was a beautiful journey.
That was
Yeah.
so well said, how your obstacles led you to your sole purpose. And you went through this just tremendous time in your life, and you allowed it to shape you as well as bring you to what you now do an amazing job doing, which is helping others who are going through similar obstacles to transform their lives. And we were just talking, Nick and I, yesterday about the obstacles in our lives that have shaped us, that have brought us to where we are. I mean, Nick's journey is absolutely tremendous. I can't wait until he introduces his story to the world, as far as where he started, his dad's journey, how his dad's journey impacted him, how he took a leap of faith to get to where he is now. And still just like relearning. Like it's like becoming a student all over again, going from the doctor journey to the CEO journey. But Nick, you can speak on that. But I mean, just amazing. Like I'm blown away. I'm waiting for the movie to come out. Like that.
Yeah, well, there are so many things that we can unpack from what you just mentioned. It's truly remarkable. And I think one of the things that really resonated for me was when you said the pain of my reality became greater than the pain of the unknown, and that is so beautiful because oftentimes we get really comfortable, and sometimes we're comfortable in dysfunction. And that is something that we don't really fully process or understand because we're so used to dysfunction from years of growing up that that's all we feel like we know, and that's what's comfortable to us, right? And there comes a point though that our inner wisdom and our intuition starts telling us like something isn't right, but we just stay in that, dysfunction because it's comfortable. It's really hard for our body to change. Our nervous system is programmed to make every movement you have, every thought you have as comfortable as possible. So
Yeah.
for you to want to get up and completely leave your environment and start new, that process is not easy. It is exhausting. It takes a lot of energy because you're going against what's comfortable for you, right? And so, it's truly remarkable what you have done and accomplished. And look at where you are at now, right? Because in order to leave a comfortable situation where your parents are there supporting you, you're working with them, you have a husband who's got, you have kids with, right? Like, society deems that this is the ideal situation, but for who, right? Like the ideal situation for who, and I think that's where we all get caught up in is that we are taught that this is what's comfortable, but that's not what's comfortable for everyone else. So it's about us realizing that, hey, this isn't the life for me. Like I need to change. I need to do something else. However, when you do change, when you put boundaries down, it starts triggering people, right? It starts getting your parents upset, so much so that they were like, you're not allowed to work here anymore. It gets your ex-husband upset, and he must have said a lot of nasty things to you, right? And this is something that people who are wanting to change must expect that is going to happen, right? Are these triggers that this change isn't easy, but it's the most fulfilling thing you can possibly do for yourself, and not just for yourself, but for your kids. So I am truly inspired by your story and everything that comes with. And I feel like along this journey, it's helped you become Michelle Latour, right? Like that authentic version of you that has been hidden for so long inside that's been dying to kind of come out, right?
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of layers to us. And when you start healing, and for me, it's at a soul level, right? To really connect with my soul, you start peeling these layers, and each layer becomes like you feel lighter, liberating, because you have never shown these parts of yourself, not only within yourself, like as in like embracing yourself, but to others, to the world. And for me, authenticity, it has different levels of depth in the sense of personality wise, things that we hide within our shadow, right? Um, how we are in different environments with different people. It's not just speaking your truth. It's many different aspects that we fail to kind of notice. That's for me, authenticity.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. What about you, Kevin? When you think about authenticity, what comes to mind for you?
Uh, Pain, in all honesty. Uh, Pain. Being yourself in 2024 uh is taking a leap of faith. It's courageous. It's liberating. But the first thing that comes to mind is pain, taking a bet on yourself, taking a bet on going against the grain, not worrying about what others think, not worried about what resistance you'll be met with as far as family and friends that you thought would always, love you unconditionally. And that's something I want you to speak on too, Michelle. We had a great conversation about unconditional love. I know for me personally, I was in a lot of situations where I normalized conditional love. Like you were speaking on earlier, we got used to the disorder. I got used to the disorder. I got used to that conditionality. I love you if you go along this path like I thought you were going to. I will love you if you continue to make me feel this way. And we know from, basic equations in the universe, like entropy, is always increasing in a closed environment, right? So entropy is disorder. So it's constantly increasing. So it's normal for us to learn how to survive in this system of disorder, this system of entropy. But then we begin to normalize it. Our nervous system normalizes it. And now we end up in this fight or flight situation for a long period of our lives. So for a while, I got used to it. I got used to my heart racing. I got used to the migraines. I got used to this feeling of discomfort, being around people who I knew didn't want the best for me, but I felt like I was in a situation where I couldn't move. I felt stuck. So being able to have that courage to be authentic, to say, you know what, I'm not happy. I need to make a change. Like you said, Michelle, when that pain becomes more than the pain that you would associate with having to change, that's when you actually make that decision. When the pain to change is nothing compared to what you're dealing with mentally, emotionally, psychologically. So yeah, that's what comes to mind. But when you make that jump, when you make that decision, when you take that leap of faith, I mean, it's a liberating feeling, but it's not easy. And that's actually what I want you to kind of speak on a little bit, Michelle, because you made that decision. How can people make this decision? How do you help your clients as far as from a transformational coach perspective to make that decision and decide that, this pain is enough and I'm really ready for a change?
Be quite honest with you, like you said, it takes pain. When you think of change, when you think of authenticity, when you think about just self-growth, it takes an unbearable amount of pain. I mean, for me to want to end my life, for me to let go of all these people, things, habits, beliefs, it took for me to endure so much pain that at times became paralyzing. It felt like I wanted to crawl out of my own skin. So for me, the courage was my life is always going to be this way if I don't change. And for me, what really helped me was the day that I was helping my mom within her situation, wanting to end her life when she was at the hospital, she was like, I don't know who I am. And when I wanted to stay in a comfortable position, I was like, that is going to be me if I don't change. So the fear of what my future would be like helped me be courageous. The uncomfortable feeling that I felt within my body that this is not who I am. I don't want to be this way. And the resistance that you feel within your body physically, because it manifests through your body with headaches and nausea and just not very pleasant things, anxiety. That is what helped me be courageous, make those choices in life. And as time goes on, it gets easier because you have done that in the past.
Yeah, I think what you said, resonates a lot, and I think there's an underlying theme there for becoming authentic. It requires some self-awareness, right? And it will require some personal growth. And when I mean by like self-awareness, it's about recognizing that hey, the situation that I'm in right now, it's not fully aligning with my values. It's not really aligning with who I am at the core. And that's what happens throughout our life's journey is that the more interactions we have with people, the more we can actually change. And that change isn't necessarily a beneficial change. It can actually be getting us into the darker aspects of who we are, right? And so I know when I look at authenticity, it's about, being self-aware of not just your good strengths, but what are your weaknesses? What are those shadow aspects of yourself? that, that tend to lead you the wrong way. And especially when you interact in that lower vibrational place, you tend to attract lower vibrational people into your life, and then all of a sudden that becomes your reality when in fact you're actually a good-hearted individual, but just have made, some poor choices from your lower vibrational state that has caused you to attract other lower vibrations. And now you're stuck, right? And so what happens is that when you go through this journey, it's about realizing that, hey, in the past, I have made some mistakes. I have issues of codependency. I have some issues of addiction, right? And so does that define who I am? No, because that defines who I was, right? A part of who I was in the past. But it doesn't mean that if I don't put in the work, that I can't be, back to who I initially was, right? Or who I would like to be, and I think it's really important for people to bring self-awareness as a part of their authenticity journey, because it's not like we're all perfect. We are not meant to be. We all have a shadow and dark side that will remain with us. In fact, it's important for us to realize what those dark aspects of us are, because once we do, we can kind of merge that within ourselves, heal that, and then we can grow from that. We need to look at those aspects to help us grow. And I think that's one part of the authenticity journey. And then, I think that journey is a constant, reflection, constant learning, constant adaptability of like who we are, and who we're meant to be. And I remember us having a conversation, Michelle, in the past, and you were stressing about values. And so that's a really important point for people to understand is, what are your values now? Because our values initially were given to us by either our parents growing up, right? Or they were given to us by society. I know when I was growing up, my parents were like, oh, okay, you must marry like an Indian person, right? Like just to give you an example, but at the end of the day, that's not what my values are. For me, it's about like finding a partner that I love, that we can co-create with, that we're on the same vibrational level with, right? That's all that matters, is looking into their soul and seeing, what kind of human they are and if they match. And so as we grow up, we don't really go back and reestablish what those values are now. Like, what are my values now? And I've done that recently. And then, things like philanthropy, things like family, that kind of stuff, means a lot to me. So once you're aware of that, then my words, my actions, my behaviors can all come from those values, which will help me present a more authentic version of myself because, hey, I've done the work. I've established that these are my values. And now I'm putting out that energy to the world, right? And so, I think, this authenticity topic is just so beautiful. And we can certainly talk about this, for a long time, and we will. We're definitely going to be getting into a lot of this and breaking it down to relationships and jobs and how we show up every single day.
That was so well said. And this is exactly why you're going to be a successful tech disruptor for many years to come, because you talked about introspection, which is huge as an individual and as a business, like being able to look within yourself and notice. Nick didn't just say awareness, he said self-awareness. And that's a huge piece that a lot of people miss. You give away power from your life when you point fingers and you point blame. Take ownership. Everything that Nick said, he said, I am. He said, I. Putting himself at the core, which means that everything is within his means to grow as an individual, to change his circumstances. So that's why you're going to be great as a tech disruptor. That's why you're going to be great as an individual, because when you have the ability to look within yourself, that's when everything happens. And it's the same thing that Michelle said, being able to have that self-awareness to change, have that self-awareness to grow. And you look at Amazon. Why is it that Amazon was created, over a decade ago? They're still here. Why? They've made those necessary pivots. They've had that reflection, that introspection to say, hey, where do we need to change? Where should our revenue streams be coming from to where it's happening seamlessly without us having to output more expenses, use more labor, et cetera. So, I mean, that was amazing. That was
I
amazing.
like what you said when it comes to introspection, because to be somebody that's very introspective, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to get out of that victim mindset, because when I was in that victim mindset, I was still stuck. I'm like, why am I still stuck here? Because I had to face myself in the mirror one day, like, Michelle, everything that you hate about other people, you have within yourself. Look
Beautiful.
at yourself.
Yeah.
And I started crying in the mirror, because I'm like, I'm no victim here. I have so many aspects, controlling narcissistic aspects, that I needed to face, and it wasn't pleasant. So to be somebody that is authentic, or go on this healing self-discovery journey, you have to be extremely honest with yourself, vulnerable.
That's powerful.
That's how you get to where you need to be. There's the willingness, the willpower to get there. There is that self-awareness, that introspective ability about you. And for me, it's solitude, because I didn't have anybody tell me, oh, so sorry for what you went through. No, I had to just listen to myself, go within. And that takes bravery to do that. It's the willingness to really want to change.
Yeah, that's beautiful. There's that acronym HOW, honesty, openness, and willingness. In order to change, you must exhibit each one of those qualities, right? And so it's just important for us, to really, really understand that change has to come within. We cannot change anybody else. And in order to change, we must be willing to want to change. We must surrender. We must let go of any kind of control to think what the outcome is going to be, and just live in the moment, take it day by day, and watch yourself evolve. And, letting go of all those things that do not serve your highest good. This journey typically ends up being a very solo type of journey, at least temporarily. That's why we see a lot of those things where people are like, disappear for 6 months, disappear for a year, and I never got that. Like, why are people disappearing? Like, that's crazy talk, right? Like, I just never understood that at all. Like, I mean, I'm so invested in my friends and family. What does that mean? But it's true. It's not about like, don't talk to anybody. It's more about disconnect yourself from those things that are not serving your highest good. Start introspection, start rebuilding those foundational pieces like values, like character strengths, and building yourself back up so that when you do come back out of that hermit mode, you're ready to shine. You're ready to, share all those things that you learned by focusing on healing all your wounds, and that is going to really inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, I think this is a great place to stop. What an incredible start to this journey that we've kind of started here, and talking about authenticity. Michelle, you're truly inspirational, and I know a lot of our viewers and listeners will continue to be inspired by your journey and those things that you preach. For those that want more information and want to be able to get in contact with Michelle and, transformational coaching, we'll certainly put that in the comment section and below. Until next time, everyone take care. Peace.